On this episode of the Comic Blast podcast, the first episode of 2020, we finally discussed the last two episodes of The Mandalorian and give a pretty long and in-depth review of The Rise of Skywalker. It's been a while, guys. We have a lot of catching up to do. All of that coming up next.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? Consider this mercy. I am inevitable.
The dead speak. Welcome back to the Comic Blast podcast. It's almost been a month. Hey Keenan, how you doing?
I'm great. Are we the dead?
We're the dead.
Okay.
I mean, practically.
We were talking about it before we even started recording, and how we could make like a Star Wars opening crawl for our disappearance, I guess.
Yeah.
The whole Luke Skywalker has vanished.
It's just Comic Blast has vanished. Like, I went to bed last night and I was like, do I want to wake up early and script out something like me reading out like a title crawl, and then I just fell asleep. So but yeah, it's been a while. We apologize. The past month has been something of a spectacle, if you want to put it that way. But it's also been a good time to kind of recuperate and recalibrate for phase 2 of Comic Blast, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know. This is year 2 of Comic Blast. It's
insane.
In a couple of weeks, it will have been a year since little baby Grayson and Keenan recorded in my bedroom on this small table.
It was like a little 12 by 12 square table.
I'm looking at it right now. Good times.
I miss
It's got
it.
my Batman Beyond Blu-ray complete series and my lightsaber and my blaster.
Hot.
Yeah, it is an honorable table. But yeah, So for me personally, I'm not trying to make excuses, but just to kind of clarify, the past month has been in holiday season, as normal, can get really busy. Plus, I've been working a lot, trying to make a lot more money, just to kind of help out the family and just before school starts. Keenan, what have you been up to?
Yeah, we've been gone for basically 3 weeks now since our last episode. We missed a lot of really key things that happened. Obviously, Rise of Skywalker and maybe the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian we didn't get a chance to talk about with you guys.
Yep.
And it sucks because we do want to talk about that. Sometimes just life circumstances change.
Yeah.
I think for me in this break in particular, it's been mostly on me. I had a vacation, which we kind of already planned, and we kind of knew that was going to happen. What did happen that I wasn't really expecting was I ended up getting an injury to my abdomen, which I was kind of complaining about a little bit before on our last episode that we recorded, but basically that injury has just kind of made me a miserable person, and I did not feel like talking or anything like that. Right now I'm just kind of rehabbing it, but I think you and I both took the time off of school and away from the podcast to kind of just plan out what we want for year 2 of Comic Blast, and we have some really cool things and things that we're pumped about doing for, I guess, phase 2 of Comic Blast. So that's pretty much what I'll say about that.
Yeah. I've kind of had to reignite my creative drive, and just kind of it was a good time to kind of, I guess set a New Year's resolution or whatever, if you want to call it that, but it's not really a resolution.
Just some
it's
goals.
Just more of goals, and just trying to expand the podcast overall. So speaking of expanding the podcast overall, if you guys, this is all normal housekeeping stuff. If you guys haven't like rated or left a review on our podcast on whatever platform you're on, please do that. It would really help us out. And I know we've been gone for 3 weeks and you're like, well, these guys suck. Please help us out anyway.
Please.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't be self-deprecative. Is that a word? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm going to say. But yeah, leaving ratings helps us out so much. And, also sharing on social media or anything like that, really helps us out. We know there are, apparently from what we can tell, there are a lot of people that like actually listen to the podcast in our personal lives, I guess, that like we just don't know that listen to it.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all of our listeners, and if it really means a lot to you, then please share it, and it means a lot to us. So I believe our social media is comicblast_. God, it's been so long since we've done this. I'm a mess right now.
You're good.
comicblast_ on Instagram and Twitter. One of our goals is this year we are going to try to be a lot more active on social media. We know how impactful it can be, and we want to be on there engaging with people and just kind of being relevant with what's going on in pop culture and, all of that stuff. And then obviously also our Patreon, which is Comic Blast Official. We still have our 2 faithful patrons, one sponsor and one patron. We have Jess, who has been shout out to Jess.
Yes.
All right, she has been so great over the break. I know she has been kind of like making sure Keenan has been okay with his injuries and his life stuff and everything like that. So she is like such a faithful like friend. We really appreciate her. I feel like we brag on her like every episode, but like it really does mean a lot to us.
Deservedly so. Yeah.
And then also Joseph, our other patron, shout out to him, and just thank you guys both for being patrons. Even though like you guys easily could have just, stopped because we like were gone for 3 weeks. So, but that's our bad, and we're back now. So yeah, anything else that I'm missing? Or am I good?
No, you're good, and I'm so excited to talk about Star Wars right now.
Okay, yeah. So just to lay it out to you guys, we mentioned Mandalorian and Rise of Skywalker, the movie. So we're going to talk about just kind of the overall ending of The Mandalorian. I believe we actually got up to episode 4 or 5, and then we kind of we dipped off and we didn't get to do any more after that. So we're not going to just talk about episode by episode. I don't think we're just going to kind of talk about our overall thoughts on season 1 and just kind of the way the ending of the series for at least this season wrapped up, and then we're going to jump into just a full-blown just our thoughts on Rise of Skywalker. It's been out long enough that we're not going to do like a spoiler-free section or anything like that. Most people have seen it by now. Spoilers are out there, pretty much everywhere. So we're not going to try to like beat around the bush. We're just going to talk about it. But if you still haven't seen it by chance, we'll warn you before we go into that. So yeah, Mandalorian, kind of the last half of the season.
I think actually, I think the last 2 episodes are the only ones we haven't really talked about.
I don't think we talked about,
because we got up to the one with Bill Burr.
Was that 6?
Yeah, that was the last one we talked about. Then we
okay, so yeah, okay, so we did talk about that one then. So yeah, 7 and 8. I'll just go ahead and put my thoughts. So like these, I think, were probably my favorite pair. Like I guess my favorite pair of episodes. Like because that in its entirety was like those last 2 episodes was what I wanted from the show. Was like, okay, we're getting a story now. Like we're finally like, which I think episode 7 makes it clear why episodes 4, 5, and 6 were necessary.
Sure.
Especially with setting up those. Actually, also episode 2 was for setting up those side characters. With Cara Dune and all of that stuff. And I think that's a testament to Dave Filoni, because he did something very similar in we were talking about it earlier, but one of our favorite shows, Avatar: The Last Airbender, does something very similar in its show. where there's a lot of what they call filler episodes in that show, and that they introduce these characters, which, I mean, they're really cool characters, but they're not necessarily like pivotal to the main plot.
Right.
And what they do is they come in towards the end of the show.
Yep.
And they're all like kind of using their abilities and stuff. One guy's like an inventor. Some of them are like the Kyoshi warriors and all of this stuff. That's a discussion for a different day. But then they also did the same thing in Rebels, where they got a lot of these side characters in these filler episodes that didn't have much importance, and they were all in kind of like the ending of the thing. So I think this is kind of a trend that like those showrunners like to do, is Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, since they're such good buddies, they work together so heavily. That was kind of the thing with that, was like, all right, we've got the introductory episodes, and then now we're introducing these side characters that are going to kind of come and help later on, and then we're kind of get to a kind of a climactic finale with episodes 7 and 8. But yeah, I freaking loved episodes 7 and 8, and I think it was I was hoping a little bit more from this show, like in terms of just like maybe runtime or kind of like, you know, substance.
Absolutely.
But overall, I'm still pretty happy with like how it turned out, and like I think I already started like rewatching the season. I was folding laundry the other day, and I was like, and so yeah. But like I think me and you kind of have some different thoughts. So kind of get into what you thought.
Yeah, I kind of agree with pretty much everything that you're saying right now. I definitely wanted a little bit more in terms of just like runtime, or just kind of fleshing things out a little bit. But I think leading up to these last 2 episodes, like I pretty much addressed all of my concerns, and I think the last 2 episodes kind of got rid of those concerns for the most part. This series isn't necessarily structured like a normal live action series that you would
Definitely
see on
not.
TV. It feels more like that kind of Saturday morning cartoons vibes in the way that it's structured. Or Clone Wars, it feels a little bit like that, where
definitely, yeah,
you're following along this character and their journey, but it kind of, it's in a way it's kind of more realistic, because when you look at like a movie format or the way that TV shows are done for the most part these days, if it stays, you know, on that course with the storyline all throughout, and that isn't necessarily always the case. Like if this was a real life situation, you're gonna have some days that, you know, you're dealing with something else, and it kind of did that, and obviously like it set up all of these side characters. What's Nick Nolte's character's name again?
Queel.
Yeah. Okay. So like his you know, he dies in the show. Spoiler warning.
Dude,
but
I was so pissed.
Exactly. But the fact that they kind of like sprinkled him throughout the show helped that death become a little bit more meaningful. Even though for the most part throughout the whole show, he didn't have a ton to do with, you know, the Mandalorian's main journey. I mean, he helped him along the way. And he was there for the very beginning, but you know, he wasn't there for every episode, and he didn't really need to be. Same thing with Cara Dune and what's Carl Weathers' character's name? I can't even think of it right now. Yeah. Okay. So so all these characters are just kind of sprinkled throughout the whole series, and it kind of ends up paying off at the end. It kind of got rid of my concerns, and the finale was it was amazing.
Yeah, I'll say this, like, Moff Gideon is on the way to becoming one of my favorite villains in Star Wars. Like, dude,
yeah, definitely.
Giancarlo Esposito, whatever. Dude, he is. I love him. I love him so much. He always just like, he gives out the perfect like villain vibe.
He was born to be a villain on TV and movies.
So I would like to kind of give maybe why like I love him so much is I know a lot of people love him for Breaking Bad, and I love him for that show too. Such a good character in that. But at the same time, like, when I was a kid, there was this show on NBC. It got canceled after 2 seasons. I only watched the first season, and I didn't watch the second because I heard it was bad. It was the show called Revolution. Do you remember that show?
I can't recall.
So essentially what it was in this whole show, all of the electricity gets taken out. Like, nothing has electricity anymore. Essentially, like, this massive EMP hits the world.
Okay.
And nothing has, like, electricity just doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's, like, the main bad guy of the show.
Yeah.
And, like, there's essentially, like, this militia, and then there's, like, this kind of army, and it's kind of like the rebels fighting the you know, whatever, the bad guy, the guys
Sure.
that are, like, trying to take over. But he was really good in that show. And that was what I like, first saw him in. And then Breaking Bad, obviously, was so good. He's also, which you still haven't seen, I don't think, but he's also in The Boys. He's like one of the senators or something, and I think he's going to be a bigger part in season 2.
Cool.
But he was in it, and God, it's freaking so good. But, like, the moment in episode 8 in episode 7 when he lands that TIE fighter, you're like, what the heck is going on? And, like, he walks out, and you're like, oh, yeah, no, this guy's bad.
Dude, just like when he talks, as soon as he starts talking, you're like, I got to take this guy seriously.
Yeah, dude, like, he is not messing around. Like, there were so many stormtroopers, man. I was like, oh my God. And, like,
there was a part when he says something along the lines where if he's like, he says he can't promise that he won't kill them or something like that, but he'll give them, like, a fair.
Yeah,
I can't even think of it, but it's been so long since I've seen the episode. But
he like gives him, like, a fair chance. Yeah. I remember he said something like along the lines of, like, yeah, you can't trust me, not to kill you, but, like, at least you can kind of make your own choice or whatever. Sure. I think, but I need to rewatch it. But I also just love the moment where he, like, knows everyone's names.
Yes.
Like, I was like, oh, yeah, no, this is a smart villain. Like, this is a guy who, like, knows everything. He, like, when he says, like, Din Djarin, and, like, Kara's full name was, like, Kara something Dune of Alderaan, which I was like, oh,
that was cool.
Oh, okay. That's, maybe that's why she's such anti-imperial. That makes a lot of sense now.
Yep.
And then Grief Karga and, like, all this stuff. I was like, yeah, this guy, like, he does not mess around. And I love how, like, I don't know why, but villains who, like, are willing to kill their own troops are, like, always so much more, like, menacing to me. Yeah. Because, like, Vader kind of did it first, but, like, this, like, that was what really confused me was in episode 6 when, like, all of, like, the window gets busted down and they're just blaster bolts just getting shot through. I was like, why did he kill his own guys? And then later on in episode 8, when they're like the scout troopers are there, he's like, yeah, he just like killed like some of his own guys and stuff. I was like, but by the way, can we talk about that opening? Because the opening of episode 8 was like so funny. Like that was pure Taika Waititi right there, dude. And I'm telling you this right now. If Disney ever decided to make an Imperial Stormtrooper show that was kind of like a comedy, like not like intentionally a comedy, but just kind of like about these stormtroopers and like scenarios during almost like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something like that, but with like stormtroopers, I would be 100% for it. It doesn't have to be canon or anything. Like it could just be like a kind of like a parody type thing. But God, I would watch that like religiously.
They need to do like some weird show where it's like the adventures of, and it's like these two scout troopers or something like that.
Yes.
Get their names or something. Like I would definitely be down for that. And just like tell everybody like, hey, this isn't canon or anything like that.
Yeah, like it's meant to be satire.
Exactly. That'd be so
but
cool.
It'd be so funny too. Like just that entire opening, I was like, this is me and my coworkers. Like at my job. Like we're just like goofing off and all of this stuff. Like we're just idiots. And like my dad was telling me
them.
Yes, they feel like I said this the other day. I'm like, I honestly, after playing Fallen Order and seeing Rebels and Mandalorian, I'm like, I feel bad for stormtroopers, man.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing is Solo shows kind of like how stormtroopers aren't necessarily all just like these faithful Imperial people.
Yeah.
Most of them honestly are just, they come from like crappy worlds where like they're just in poverty, and like the only way for them to get a job and like to take care of themselves is to join the Empire. And so like they're not trained really well, but at least they're given a bed to sleep in and like food.
Yeah.
And so like it's better than living in like the slums of, Corellia that you see in Solo or whatever. So most of them are like just people trying to get paid, and they end up dying a lot. Like they're just doing their job,
Yeah, they're
like,
just human shields.
Yeah, like they're literally cannon fodder, and it's like I always feel so bad because like the stormtroopers in Jedi Fallen Order are like, oh my god, like they're just freaking out.
Yeah.
They're like, please, and I'm like, oh god, like But
then there's like in Jedi Fallen Order, there's like the overly confident stormtroopers too.
Oh yeah,
who
those
think
guys
that
are like,
they
all
can
right, you're dead.
take on a Jedi is so funny. I love them in that game.
Yeah, and I just love that they're humanized. Like I know some people don't like that as much because like the stormtroopers are supposed to be menacing or whatever. I'm like I mean,
we need to accept that they're not. Just
Death Troopers. I mean, Death Troopers are great. I love them, but I mean, man, I've been playing a lot of Battlefront lately, and like I'm so excited for when they add more Galactic Civil War content because there's like a severe like drought in like original trilogy content in that game. And so like seeing the Death Troopers, I'm like, every time I see that, I'm like, dude, or when I watch Rogue One, I'm like, all right, I want to go on that game and play as a Death Trooper and just wreck a bunch of rebels. But
so I mean, let's get to the ending of the whole series.
Oh yeah,
because that is probably the biggest surprise and a very well kept secret from everybody. But as soon as that happened, it was just like everywhere because I kind of got it spoiled for me. Not really spoiled for me, but like people were like, I can't believe he had that weapon, and I was like, immediately I was like, oh, he must have like a lightsaber or something like that.
The dark saber.
Yeah, so it ends up being the dark saber. And now we have this whole kind of like gap to fill in with how he got the dark saber.
Yeah. So here's what many people assume and what I assume. So the Darksaber has kind of like a long history, and most of it has been all of it has been in stuff that Dave Filoni has created, and I have no doubt that that's why. I mean, Jon Favreau's character in Clone Wars had the Darksaber, so like I have no doubt that was why they put it in there.
Right.
But also like just because it's such a cool and fascinating part of like the new Star Wars canon.
They're bringing something new to the table, live action wise.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's so cool to see it in live action. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like if you don't know about the Darksaber, like it was in Clone Wars and Rebels. Clone Wars, it was mainly just kind of like a weapon. Like they were just like, yeah, it's a cool weapon, like it's some like just Mandalorian thing.
Yeah.
And like so Pre-Vizsla had it, then Darth Maul ended up getting it. But then in Rebels, they kind of expounded upon its history where, like, it was created by the first Mandalorian Jedi named Tar Vizsla. And, like, the Jedi thought it was, like, their property because, like, he was a Jedi.
Right.
But the Mandalorians, like, they stole it and they took it back. And so now it's kind of been used as this like item to like unite all the Mandalorians. It's kind of like whoever has that is kind of like the rallying the leaders of the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And the last person who had it was in Rebels was Bo-Katan Kryze, who was Satine Kryze's like sister. And she was in Clone Wars and Rebels, and so she had it to unite the Mandalorians against like the Empire. As we can tell from the show, that didn't go so well.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Great Purge, they all died. So what I can assume is that they just wiped them out, or they took it, or whatever. Maybe they like tortured her or something. Because I think there's a very, very good chance that Bo-Katan who was played by Katie Sackhoff, and there's probably a good chance that she'll be in the show at some point, or at least I feel like she would. I think there was a panel. She said she'd love to play Bo-Katan in live action.
Yeah.
She even looks like her anyway. So I don't know what they're trying to set up. I feel like that eventually at some point the Mandalorian is going to get the Darksaber.
Which would be so cool.
God, yeah. Maybe I should wait for the hot toy for that to come out. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's it's not good news for the Mandalorian people, that's for sure.
It's good news for us because it's something so refreshing in terms of like live action storytelling.
Yeah, dude, this entire first season kind of is, I think, is setting up the groundwork for like the major plot of season 2.
Yeah.
Which I still think there's going to be like filler and stuff like there was with this season. So like I kind of have my expectations not lower, but I have my expectations altered. Where like I'm expecting a story, but I'm also expecting a lot of episodes that are just kind of like one-offs. You know, where it's like entertaining to watch. Like episodes 4, 5, and 6 of the show that were like, these were, you know, clearly just to have fun, but not necessarily to progress the major plot of things.
Episode 6 was definitely like really good filler.
Yes, because it was like entertaining through and through, and also like kind of built up the world a bit more.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, nothing in that episode contributed to the plot of episode 6. Like, I mean, with episodes with, you know, 1, 2, 3, I think those 2 was slightly filler, but I don't think it was like that filler.
Yeah.
I still think it was important in the story. Then 4, so was 4 was the like the planet with Cara Dune, so that was important. And then episode 5 was Tatooine, correct?
Yeah, that was the most like pointless one.
So, but the thing is, was it pointless?
Depending on how you see the ending, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that the entirety of that episode was to set up whoever that character was at the end.
God, can you imagine if Boba Fett comes into play somehow?
See, I think it would make so much sense to put Boba Fett in the Mandalorian show.
Yeah.
But I also think it'd be really cool to make him like an antagonist.
For
or
sure.
Make him like a rival. Like have the Mandalorian, who we now, you know, we all love Din Djarin. Like he's a great character. Shout out to Pedro Pascal, by the way.
I know.
He is so good. By the way, yeah, what do you think of the helmet reveal? Like,
I loved it. I did kind of see it coming.
I did too.
As soon as he said like no living being or whatever can see me without my helmet or has ever seen me without my helmet, I was like, okay, he's definitely taking it off now because there's a droid right in front of him.
Yeah, it's a droid. It's not real.
Exactly.
Or it's not living.
I liked it though. I mean, I think he deserved kind of that moment just as an actor, I think.
Yes.
But like you said, I'm sure you were getting to this, like, shout out to him for playing an entire series without having to be the star, essentially. Like, he's the star and also not the star, because there's people who may be watching this show who aren't like keeping up with everything going on and who these actors are and have no idea what this guy looks like. And he takes off his mask and they're like, wow, that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
So
I have so much respect for him too, just because he's like, he does it so well. Like his physical performance of like his physical and his voice, because like, you mean, there's only so much you can do with like just your movements and everything, but the way he does it, like it's so good. And you connect with the Mandalorian even though he has a helmet on. Like there's shots in the show where he's like looking at the child or something like that, or like you know, he's in the middle of a tough decision and you know exactly what's going on in his head. Mm-hmm. Or at least you can assume so, which is really cool about this character. And I think it's even more respectable because, like you said, there's a lot of actors and stuff like that, you know, in superhero movies and stuff that they have to wear masks. Like think of like Spider-Man, for example, and they're constantly like taking off their helmets or their masks so they can kind of get more screen time. You know,
think about like every MCU poster out there for like characters who typically wear a mask. Like none of them are wearing their masks in any of those posters, and it's usually, I'm assuming it has to do with like the actor or maybe the studio are like, well, we got to get these actors in the forefront to attract people or something like that. With the Mandalorian, it's always been this dude in his helmet, and that's it.
Yeah. I think it'd be so much like, it'd be so lame if he was just like a poster. It was just his face. You're just like, oh, okay, what? But I mean, I am cool with like inevitably maybe like seeing his face another way, but I feel like they're gonna have to earn it because, you know, it was just a way for them to be able to like, all right, here's what he looks like,
right?
But because we all knew what he looked like, he was like, well, the only thing we could assume is like if he was like scarred up or whatever, which he did have like a couple scars, but it wasn't anything like, you know, like Deadpool like wise, where he's just like totally like he's just a dried raisin, you know.
That would be the biggest twist of the whole show. Forget the Darksaber. That would be a huge twist.
He's just a crumbled like biscuit, just like
yeah,
an actual potato. But back to the Boba Fett thing. Yeah, like people are saying like, no, it's not Boba Fett. It's not Boba Fett. I'm like, there is no reason why they would use that sound from like The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Because apparently it has never been like used. I think that entire thing was just to set up like, oh, something's coming. Because there's people that are like, oh yeah, that was Moff Gideon. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Like, why would he? That doesn't make any sense. Like,
no.
Unless it would be so misleading. I'm like, they clearly went to Tatooine for a reason. There's going to be some kind of side plot involving Boba Fett.
Because
I'm
like, I know for a fact that's Boba Fett. Just the whole fact that Lucasfilm, they kind of like, we've heard rumors that they explored the idea of making a solo Boba Fett film, and obviously they backed off of that and they decided to go with the Mandalorian, which I think was a good choice, probably the better choice. But I think that they obviously have always had plans to find a way to bring the character back.
Oh yeah, I mean he's like, you know, the Mandalorian is like the new Boba Fett, or it's like he looks cool, but he's also like a good character.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that was the entire like hype of the original Boba Fett, was that he looked so cool.
Yeah.
And so like, I think it'd be really interesting to see this rivalry of like, oh, the old cool guy versus the new cool guy.
So amazing. So amazing.
What would be even better? Bring Cad Bane in. Just saying.
That would be interesting.
I think it'd be really cool, but I don't know if it would happen.
Did you ever go to like Star Wars Celebration Orlando? Did you go to the Rebels panel?
No, I didn't get to go to like any panels, man.
So I don't know if it was a Rebels panel or I think it may have been like a panel with Dave Filoni and Pablo Hidalgo. But they showed off this like clip that they never used.
Yeah.
For like that moment with Boba Fett and Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to come back somehow.
Oh no, I mean it's online. Like
is it? Okay,
yeah,
so you know exactly what I'm talking about then.
Yeah, I remember I was on the bus ride there, like when like there was a commute thing. Yeah, like it was streamed online. I don't think it's a huge spoiler because I don't think it's going to come back this season. I think that they've announced that Clone Wars is going to be 12 episodes, and that like it's going to be like back February 17th, I believe, and most like 2 of the arcs are going to be Ahsoka based. Like I don't think they're going to have enough time to explore like a Cad Bane arc thing. So like you can look it up online, but essentially the entire point of the arc was that Cad Bane had this rivalry with Jango Fett, and because Jango Fett got his head chopped off by Mace Windu, they never really got to settle their rivalry. Mm-hmm. So what Cad Bane does is he trains, or he essentially like trains and mentors Boba Fett to make him essentially the new Jango, like make him as good as Jango, and then finally they can test like their skills to see who was the better bounty hunter. And they showed this one clip, and like they never really get around to like why they're fighting. Like you can kind of assume like Boba Fett's like defending this group of people, but like you see Bosk is in there and a couple of other bounty hunters that were in the show. Yeah. But they get in this like Western shootout, and they both like draw and shoot each other, and they're both down on the ground. And obviously Boba Fett doesn't die. Yeah. Boba Fett is in his like armor, by the way. Like I think he's like a teenager at this point. He has his Mandalorian armor. And Cad Bane's on the ground. We don't know if he's dead or not. They literally did not say. Yeah. But then it cuts to like Boba's helmet, and like that's how he gets the dent. Yeah. And his helmet was like it's like smoking, and so it's pretty cool detail. And I wish we had got to see that. There's a chance it may be in the show. I don't know. If they did, that'd be really freaking cool.
I think it's cool because you can kind of see like the kind of like the groundwork, or it kind of feels a little bit like the Mandalorian show when it get that Western vibe.
I feel like that was the inspiration.
Right.
I mean, you really think about it, like the Mandalorians have so much to do with Clone Wars and Rebels. Mm-hmm. Like they're both in those shows like really heavily. And it's a no-brainer as to like why they wanted to make the Mandalorian as a show. Yeah. And I'm willing to bet that there's going to be some Clone Wars and Rebels ties at one point or another. I mean, we've already got the Darksaber, which literally comes from those shows.
Yeah,
like that's already one major thing.
People who don't watch those shows are like, "What is this?"
Yeah, like I could 100% see them introducing like a character like Sabine or like something like that.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't think I don't want them to do like, because at the end of Rebels, spoilers for Rebels, they go off and try to search for Ezra, who's like went into the unknown regions with Thrawn. It's him and Ahsoka, Ezra.
You got this.
Sorry, Sabine and Ahsoka try to go out and find him like after the the Rebels win, and so we don't know the extent of that. But, there's a chance it could happen in Mandalorian, but I think that would also be really confusing. But, then again, I think about it and I'm like, oh, they put Maul and Obi-Wan in Rebels.
Yeah.
And that was from a totally different show. And they brought Ahsoka. Like, they continue a lot of things, surprisingly, that, like, they find it in a way that works. Because Rebels was kind of like, it was the sequel show to Clone Wars, and like Dave Filoni has said that before.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see them trying to continue some stuff in Mandalorian. I don't know, man. I'm really excited for
There's
the next,
a lot of
the next
options
season.
there.
There's so much that this show, like a lot of potential this show has.
Yeah.
And it's become like literally such a popular icon now. Like, I think also that's a testament to, thank God, like I'm so glad they actually didn't do an episode dump, because someone was saying how, like, when they dump a bunch of episodes out for a show, it literally lasts like its popularity lasts like maybe a week or two, and then it kind of dives off. I think it's like Stranger Things and Witcher, they last a long time, but like I remember when Stranger Things season 3 came out, like its popularity lasted like a week or two, and then it was just like nobody talked about it. The Mandalorian's been like this 3-month thing. Like as soon as Baby Yoda came out, Baby Yoda memes and all of this stuff. And
dude,
then,
people who don't even watch the show know what's going on with Baby Yoda. Like,
yeah, there's people that are like, oh, Baby Yoda's so cute. I don't watch Star Wars, but I'm like, he's so cute, and I'm like, okay, sure.
It still blows my mind that there's no merchandise for him anywhere, but it's coming out. It's, I think, like April, May is when it's supposed to be coming out. But
yeah, well, I actually got a Baby Yoda sticker from one of my coworkers.
You see, like, small things like that are out.
Yeah,
like I went to Galaxy's Edge and there wasn't a single thing for Baby Yoda.
No.
And there's like kids trying to buy like Yoda toys, thinking it was Baby Yoda. And I was just like, oh, poor kid. Like, they think they're buying a Baby Yoda toy, and it's just a normal Yoda.
I think the merchandise comes out within, like, the next year or something like that. I've seen people say, like, in May.
I know, like, the
and
Funko
everything.
Pops are supposed to release in May, and those will probably sell out unless you pre-order them now, which you can do.
Yeah.
But there's, like, the 10-inch Funkos that are going to come
literally
out. Literally
life-size Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. By the way, like, there's a chance I may be going to Galaxy's Edge in February. I'm upset that you didn't get me anything. I'm kidding.
I'll get you something. Actually,
no,
like,
okay.
everything there is, like, ridiculously expensive.
No, I know. I'm gonna go there, and I think so. I said it on Twitter yesterday, but this kind of ties into Rise of Skywalker, which we're just about to get into because we're like pretty much done talking about Mandalorian. But I said on Twitter, I'm like, if you guys don't have a Leia lightsaber by the time I get there, you're not getting I'm not buying a lightsaber. But that's also probably a lie, because I really want to get one of the lightsabers there.
It's cool, man. I mean, like, what I love is that you can essentially go to you can go onto Jedi Fallen Order and build your lightsaber in the game, or just get an idea of what you want, and all the pieces are there for you to build that.
I don't think I'm going to build my own one, mainly because I already have a custom lightsaber that I got from Saberforge.
Yeah.
But Doc Ondar's, like, Den of Antiquities has, like, all these legacy lightsabers.
Yep.
And I was looking through all those. There's like 12 of them.
I looked through them all.
Dude, okay. First of all, had no idea they had a Jedi Temple Guard lightsaber. That is sick. I wish it was double bladed, but if you get 2 of them, there's fans have, like, made, like, actual, like, adapters that, like, connect both of them. You follow that guy Rexon around?
No.
Or that? Yeah, you do.
Maybe. I don't know.
I've seen it's like it's a podcast, and anyways, it's called Rex and Around. They have like a popular a TikTok.
I follow a lot of things that I don't keep up with.
I think I've seen you like a couple other posts.
Probably.
Anyway, he goes to Galaxy's Edge like every other week, and he had like a double-bladed yellow lightsaber and was like confronting Kylo with it. There's also the Ahsoka lightsabers, which God, I really want those. And then they just came out with 2 more. They came out with Ben Solo's lightsaber from The Last Jedi, which it looks really cool. And then they came out with the kind of the repaired Skywalker lightsaber, which is the one with like the leather strap. So I don't know, but I really, really want Leia's lightsaber because her lightsaber in The Rise of Skywalker is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers for Rise of Skywalker, but you mean it's whatever.
Quick, I'm really pumped that you're gonna get to go to Galaxy's Edge. Quick, little review for it. There's been a lot of people who have said that it's like it doesn't live up to the hype.
Yeah.
And I think it may have been that way opening when they first opened.
Yeah.
It was definitely worth the hype for me. Like, I went to Hollywood Studios and I did nothing else except for stay in Galaxy's Edge for 12 hours because
that's great.
There's so much to explore there.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's to a point where it's kind of like overwhelming because, I mean, if you're really a Star Wars fan, you're going to catch every detail that's there. Like, there's small things everywhere you go. References to stuff and all these little stores. Like, you go and whenever you buy anything, this is so silly, but they're like, they'll be like, oh, that's 12 credits. Like, they won't say dollars or anything like that.
Really? That's amazing. Oh my
also
God.
Have to say that they have coffee there only in Batuu or Galaxy's Edge. It's like the best coffee that you'll drink.
Wait, really?
It's so freaking good. I kid you not. It's unlike anything else. So definitely get the coffee. Oh my God. And
I can't wait.
I can see people's like frustrations who went to Galaxy's Edge before the new ride that came out, the Rise of the Resistance, because like without that ride, it definitely kind of takes away from the excitement, I guess. It's also really hard to get on. You basically have to wait all day to get onto that. But,
I heard that was like a really popular ride.
It's the best ride I've ever rode at Disney. It's
really
insane. It's like you're in a movie. It's just an experience. Like, I won't spoil it for you. It's not even just a ride. It's just an experience that feels like you're in a movie.
I've actually seen like videos of people like they've recorded it inside. I don't know if they're supposed to do that, but I mean, I've seen some parts of it, and like my sister sent it to me, and she's like, "This looks so dope,
dude."
And I'm like, "I know."
It's insane. So like, to anyone who's like thinking about going to Galaxy's Edge, make sure you download the Disney app, and then you can kind of like essentially like reserve a spot for the Rise of the Resistance, and what they'll do is they'll notify you when your like group is ready to board. So you're just basically hanging around all day until you get that notification, and then they'll tell you like you have an hour to get on the ride. And
oh, that's great.
Yeah, so you're not waiting and standing in a line for like 4 hours.
That's so nice, dude.
Yeah. So they're doing a pretty good job with that. I mean, obviously you have to wait a while, but it's definitely worth it. I mean, you're gonna find other things to do and things to buy, and it's insane. But that's just like my mini review. I definitely I kind of went in thinking it wasn't going to be as great as it as advertised, and I was kind of blown away. And I'm to the point where like I can't stop thinking about it, and I just want to go back.
I mean, you've been posting so many pictures, and I'm like, God, like, you're so lucky. So like, I'm gonna try my best because I think it's in February where we're gonna try to go. I have a checklist of things that I want to buy because I know a lot of the park is a lot of shopping.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like a Star Wars mall. But I know for sure there's a chance I probably will buy some kind of like legacy lightsaber just because mainly for the hilt. Like I can buy better lightsabers in like different stores and stuff, but like I just really want to get like a legacy one from the park. Also because the cases they come in are so cool. Like I don't know if you've seen them, but they're so nice. I also want to get a I think they have actual like sabacc there. Like literally. I want to get that.
Yep.
And I'm probably gonna get like a loth cat or something like that because I think they're adorable.
I don't think I got very much. I got this
because it's super expensive.
Yeah, I got this like imperial thermos.
That's
Obviously, I'm a
dope.
big coffee drinker.
That's
And,
smart. I may get one of those.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's some cheap stuff for sure. But
I'm gonna have to set a budget.
get whatever you do, make sure you get the coffee like right away. And the day that I
can't
went,
wait.
it was actually really cold, and it was just
Really?
It was like really
Dude.
cold and rainy.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was like a cloudy day. It was like perfect for pictures where you don't have like
And
sunlight beaming on you.
And it's great too because like if it's, which also that's in Florida, so that's kind of rare for it to be like
Exactly.
cold. I'm hoping it's still cold in February.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's also nice because in that park specifically, like they don't have roller coasters, so
Nope.
like it's not like gonna shut down any of the rides. Like it's just
Everything's like
it's-
indoors.
yeah. Did you get to ride the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah, I did that twice. The first time it was probably about an hour wait, 50 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to an hour, and then I went again later at like about an hour before they closed, and there was
Yeah.
like pretty much no wait.
That's great. That's cool.
Yeah, so that ride was a ton of fun. Like I thought it was great until I went on the new ride, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like nothing compares to this.
I really hope they do some other ones. I think it'd be really cool for them
Yeah.
to. They have to introduce a couple because only 2 rides kind of sucks. But like, I
Yeah.
think the best thing about it is like the characters walking around and stuff. Like, dude, oh my god, I
Dude, They
can't
stay
wait
in
to
character too. Like
It's-
you cannot break them.
Really?
Yeah, they're like the stormtroopers. Like if you try to come up and take a picture or whatever, they'll like push you off. Like they stay in character the whole time. They don't care who you are. If you're a little kid, like the stormtroopers will just sit there and talk crap about you. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Have you seen that video going around with like Kylo Ren and those stormtroopers? And there's like this dude with his lightsaber.
the guy. Yep.
Yeah, and he's like,
Oh my
if
God,
there's
dude.
one Jedi left, it's not you.
It's not you, and, dude. Oh my god, yeah. There's another video that I saw that was really wholesome. It's this little girl with like Down syndrome,
Yes.
and she's like she loves Kylo Ren. Like
Yeah.
she's in like full Sith robes and everything, and like the stormtroopers and Kylo Ren are like making her day, and like
Yes.
and he's just like, we will consider you an ally and stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so wholesome. I'll send it to you later. I'll like post it or something. But
I've seen that clip. It's amazing.
God, it's so nice.
Yeah.
One thing that I have like a question. I swear we're gonna get into Rise of Skywalker. This is my last question. We're gonna get into it. This is gonna be a longer than normal episode, by the way,
That's
because
fine.
we're like 40 minutes in, but
owe
we have
it.
a lot to catch up on. So what I like wonder is, do the characters have like, are they actually like talking like through like a filter, or do they have like a voice, like a sound panel or something that they can like choose what to say?
I am
Is it, like,
going
scripted?
to. I think it's scripted. I think that there's
Okay.
like a list of options that they have.
Okay.
I don't know how they do it, but essentially, like, so I had like an interaction. It's up on my Instagram with a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
It was like 2 stormtroopers,
Mm-hmm.
and I was responding to what he was saying, and it seemed like I wasn't getting a response that like matched with mine. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I think he has like a list of things that they can say.
Okay.
But at the same time, like I see other interactions, and like it kind of matches perfectly.
Yeah.
But essentially, like the guy that I kind of ran into, the stormtrooper, they just approached us, and we were like kind of like in a big group of people, and and he was like, they were like trying to see if any of us was with the resistance or whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of go up to it, and I'm like talking to it and stuff. And then he's like, I think we're going to need to see some identification, typical thing you hear from a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
And then like I kind of like go up and whisper, and I'm like, it's me, I'm with the resistance. Because I was kind of like, trying to take the heat off the whole crowd that was with me.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna be like, it's me, I'm with the resistance. And
Yeah.
and then he was like, I don't remember what he said, but he was kind of like, we'll let you go, or we'll move along, or something along those lines. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, you obviously don't care about what I said, or you cannot
Yeah.
hear me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of felt like it was scripted, but they do a good job.
See, because I've seen like other things, like that guy that I was talking about earlier. Like he had that lightsaber, and he was confronting Kylo.
Yeah.
And like then he randomly kind of went like, "Okay, bye." And then the stormtrooper literally went, "Okay, bye," and like walked away.
Yeah.
And I was like mocking him, and I was like, okay, so like that guaranteed that's not a preset thing.
It's weird. I don't know how it works, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm sure I can find out.
It's interesting. I'm like excited to talk to a lot of the characters there, but like I'm also like I get really nervous when I talk to like characters that are in character, because I remember when I went to Universal, like I talked to the Spider-Man and like he was in character, and dude, I was sweating bullets, man. I was like, oh my god, this is kind of scary, like meeting like the which even it's like it's not like a real Spider-Man, but it's like it's still kind of like you're a kid like meeting like your hero or whatever.
You'll see, like, as you're walking around, you'll see, like, people from the Resistance. You'll even see, like, Rey, and the way she's, like, kind of going around is, like, she's kind of sneaking around because, obviously, the First Order is everywhere.
Yeah.
So she'll be, like, kind of, like, sneaking around and stuff and, like, peeking around. And you're like, man, they really take this seriously. Like, when you speak to them, like, they don't break their character whatsoever.
Dude, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a cool experience. Like, I'm excited. I think everyone who's a Star Wars fan should have the opportunity to go. It sucks that everyone won't, but
yeah,
it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I'm really hoping I get to go. But there you go. There's a little ad lib part of like Galaxy's Edge review from Keenan. I'm most excited about the coffee.
The coffee's amazing, man. Just drink it black, I swear. Like, and don't get it in, like, because I tried it. I was like, maybe this is the same coffee like everywhere else, and I got coffee that was just like in Hollywood Studios, like at a random place. I was like, God, I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, I have to go all the way back to Galaxy's Edge and get some coffee.
I gotta go to Batu to get my coffee.
Exactly.
That's
it's
great.
So good.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, transitioning to. We don't know how long this will go on. We're already like almost an hour in, but like, I mean, we have to talk about it. So, Rise of Skywalker. We've seen it, like, I've seen it twice. Have you seen it twice? What have you seen it?
4 times.
You've seen it 4 times? Oh my God. So like I got invited to see it a 3rd time, but I was so tired and like I was sick that day that I just told my friends, I was like, no, like I'm not going. Like they were like, oh, you want to go see it again? And like, and out of any other circumstance, I would have said yes, but I was like, nah, dude, I'm so tired. And I literally, like, I took like 2 naps that day. I'm not even kidding.
Dude, I swear, you always take naps on like days that you can see movies. It's the funniest thing.
Wait, really?
Yeah, remember we were talking about this and you're like, I didn't really enjoy Wonder Woman because I took a nap that day or something like that.
No, I didn't take a nap that day.
Oh, you didn't take it? Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, no, days that, like, I get great sleep, I enjoy movies. Which also, I feel like we've seen, like, speaking about movies, I feel like we've seen more movies in the past, like, month, or at least I've seen more movies with you than I have, like, in the entirety of, like, the past year. Yeah. Because with, like, Knives Out, we saw Uncut Gems, and then we saw Rise of Skywalker the 2nd time together.
Yep.
Like, I feel like I've been to the movies so much, I was like, God, I gotta get movie pass.
You got like 1917 or whatever.
Dude, I've already got a group of friends. I'm like, do you guys want to go see 1917 when it comes out? And then I watched for the first time Bad Boys 1 and 2 yesterday.
Oh, that was your first time?
Yeah, I've never seen them until then.
You probably told me that.
I think so. Because I feel like I'm constantly surprising you with movies that I haven't seen. You're like, what? You haven't seen that?
What?
Yeah. But yeah, like my dad freaking loves the Bad Boys movies.
They're so good.
And the 3rd one comes out on his birthday. So I was
nice.
like, I'm gonna be a good son, and I'm gonna watch Bad Boys 1 and 2 so we can go see the 3rd one for his birthday.
That's sweet.
Great movies, by the way. But yeah, so we saw Rise of Skywalker like a crap ton of times. So we'll go with yours because I feel like I've been talking a lot. What I mean, I think it's like we both, by the way, this is going to be full spoilers. I already spoiled something earlier, but sucks to suck. So yeah, I mean, I think we both can say like we love this movie.
Yes. I feel like I have to say something before I go on about this movie.
Okay.
This is going to be really quick, but Disney definitely botched this whole trilogy. With that being said, I love this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the thing that I wanted to like get into, is that I've been talking with a lot of people about the entirety of this trilogy and just talking about other opinions. And I was like, it is clear from like, so I watched the first time I saw Rise of Skywalker, I watched all 3 sequel movies in one day. Like that morning I woke up, I watched The Force Awakens, I took a shower, and then I watched The Last Jedi, and then I went to go see The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
It is clear that they had no consistent plan with this trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, it was, the first movie was like JJ setting everything up and planting all these seeds, and like, wow, I'm getting so excited for this trilogy.
Yeah.
And then The Last Jedi coming in and just like wiping the slate clean.
Yep.
And like Rian Johnson, like, okay, here's my idea. Like, I want to go with Star Wars. And then it was supposed to be, you know, Colin Trevorrow coming in and finishing that up.
Yep.
You know, it was literally like, they didn't have a plan from beginning to end. They were just like, all right, here's a movie, then the next person can build off of that, and then the next person can build off of that, which is a terrible way to make movies. Do not do that.
Here's the problem is, like, people's defense about that is, like, because, like, I've complained for a while. I'm like, they didn't have a clear plan. I go on Twitter and I talk about this stuff with people, and then they're like, George Lucas didn't have a plan for all 3 of his movies. I'm like, he didn't even know if the first movie was going to get made. Like, he had no, obviously he didn't have a plan. He didn't know if the first one would succeed or not. The studios hated the movie. Like, Fox hated the movie. And then it just blew up. And they're like, well, we got to do a sequel. I'm like, of course, they didn't have a plan for those movies. Disney bought this for $4 billion.
Yeah. And so, like, you think they would have had, like, a really good foundation or plan, especially for it being literally the trilogy that wraps up the Skywalker saga. But yeah, like that's the point that I always made, is I'm like, so essentially it was George Lucas. He came out with the first one, and you can see from that one, he'd had no plan that Leia and Luke were going to be brother and sister. Like, and there was definitely going to be like a romance between them. And then like all of this stuff. The thing was, at least it at the very least, even if there wasn't a plan with that, is he kind of knew like where he wanted to go with it, like a little bit. But it was George Lucas's vision from the beginning. Like he was the person, like he didn't write all of them, but what he did is he made the story. Like he did the screenplay for like all of them, you know? Yeah. And so he knew where this universe wanted to go. And then that was the same thing. Like he knew where he needed to go with the prequels, like where it needed to end it off. So he had to figure out where to start it from and kind of build from that. But I mean, it was one man's mind, George Lucas. Yeah. He did 1 through 6. He had people that helped him along the way, because that's what you have to do for in like production of a movie. Yep. But like it was all him. With this one, I don't know why they didn't just get one guy doing the story and then like everybody else helping it. It's just kind of jarring, you know?
Yeah.
Like
this
like
movie, it's almost uncomfortable, because like I want to like it, but at the same time I feel like I'm dealing with like 2 egos fighting each other. Like this whole trilogy feels like 2 directors subtweeting about each other. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, that's like, actually a great way to put it. It's like they're just subtweeting about each other through their films, because you know, obviously, like it seemed like at some point in time, Ryan is kind of taking shots at JJ, and you know, through his film about how Star Wars should go, and there's clear shots taken in The Rise of Skywalker to me. I'm like, you know, just skipping ahead really quickly to like the Luke Skywalker part where he's like, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. And I was like, God, I mean, like that was literally, it just felt like he was speaking to Ryan in that very moment. Maybe he isn't, but he also even says, like, in the one part he was like, I was wrong, like, you know, but at the same time I'm like, I don't think that was a jab, because I'm like, Ryan, like, you know, Rian Johnson set up in The Last Jedi that Luke was wrong, like that he you know, despite all his failures and stuff, like he shouldn't have quit being a Jedi, but he also humanized Luke, which is what I love about that movie. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna say this right now, like, this movie has actually made me appreciate The Last Jedi a lot more. And I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but like I actually really enjoy The Last Jedi, especially because I watched all of them in that same day, you know? That's a whole other discussion for a different day. But yeah, even though there wasn't a clear plan for this trilogy, like I don't think Palpatine was supposed to come back or anything like that, I still loved this movie. Like I walked out and I was like, wow, that was like, I'm so glad I was happy with that film. And like there were so many moments that I just adored. But the thing was, like, I was so afraid, because before that movie, so like I went totally dark off of social media. Like I didn't go on Twitter for like a week and a half.
I remember it was like I saw some of the reactions.
Yeah.
Like I didn't watch any reviews, but I saw that like it was like a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's I'm pretty sure it's like the worst rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes for the Star Wars movies. Is it not?
Yeah,
okay.
for Star Wars.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that is stupid. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh no, it's happening again.
It
Like-
was like, I think the people that gave it negative reviews were the people who loved The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's
really
exactly how it went. And that's because, I mean, and that's, it makes sense though, because it does, it does wipe away a lot of the stuff from The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what people said, is that this movie is kind of two movies in one, It's, had JJ done the entire trilogy, which God, I wish he had, like I think that would have been so much better that he wouldn't have had to, but I mean, it's just the way it is. Like Star Wars has always been a troubled franchise by its development.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it always will be. I think it's just the curse of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I think with what JJ had to do that last movie, I think he did it in the best way he possibly could. And to me, I really loved it.
Yeah.
I think it is not a perfect movie, or not even nearly, like it's not a perfect trilogy at all.
Sure.
But I mean, the movie is just like, I watch it and I'm like, man, I am enjoying this so much. Like this feels so, it feels very much like a sequel to The Force Awakens.
For sure.
Which when I rewatched that the other week, I was like, man, it had been a while since I watched The Force Awakens, and I was like, JJ really did a good job with that movie, and I think he did an even better job with The Rise of Skywalker. Like I think The Rise of Skywalker is my favorite out of this trilogy, personally. I think Force Awakens and Last Jedi are both like, I mean, I still really enjoy all of them, but yeah, like I really appreciated the entirety of this movie, I guess, just because it didn't feel like it does feel new and refreshing, even though it is trying to handle all of the problems of the previous movies and trying to wrap it up in kind of a concise way.
Yeah. I'll
So,
say
yeah.
like I have like complaints, but it's not about this film. It's just about the whole handling of the trilogy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember just when that movie was over, I was just like, wow, I loved that. And I think like the one thing that, I mean, there's definitely like some holes in the whole narrative that I feel like need to be addressed, probably in like, I don't know, a novel or something like that, with Palpatine. But I think the heart of this movie is Rey, Poe, and Finn. Specifically,
And even
Rey.
Ben Solo.
Yeah. But I feel like that trio, like, I love Rey.
So
like,
good.
I
freaking, yes.
I liked Rey a lot in The Force Awakens, and I disliked her. I didn't really care for her character that much in The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And then after this film, I was like, I love this. I was like, I love the way that they handled Rey in this film. I loved that Leia was her master who was training her.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, God.
I wasn't even expecting that at all. But I love that she was dealing with, her struggles to start the movie. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like this film did the most to kind of humanize her character, or just like show that it's not all easy for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say one thing that like Rey has been a really relatable character to me, is because like with her whole parent thing, and finding your identity or your family in a different way is something that's kind of relatable to me. And I know that they wanted her to kind of be a nobody. Or at some point in time they wanted her to be a nobody, but like I kind of know what it's like to like have family who kind of sucks, like somebody who kind of sucks, and then you find somebody better and you kind of call that person,
I think it's such a beautiful moment. I think there's a lot of people who are complaining about the moment where she says, "I'm Rey Skywalker."
Oh God,
and
I love it.
And I love it. I love it so much because like I think she's kind of forging her own destiny.
Yeah.
And to the extent that like people are just complaining that like, or saying that like they preferred she was a nobody, like she still kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, even though she was a Palpatine, she literally came from nothing.
She was
like,
on a
just,
freaking desert planet for like, I don't know, what, 15 years, 14
yeah,
years.
like she literally like did everything. Like, first of all, it makes sense like why she was so powerful with the Force. But
Yeah.
I mean, she literally like raised herself, and I think, I mean, even though she did have this family lineage, like she literally was like nothing. Like she came from really nothing.
It does explore, like it explores something that isn't really that explored that often. I guess I mean, like Luke Skywalker, yeah, obviously, like his dad was a bad person.
Yeah.
But he kind of was raised with his aunt and uncle, or by his aunt and uncle.
Yeah, he still had a foundation of good people who cared about him. Even Obi-Wan.
He could kind of like find his identity in that. You know, he was raised by somebody, where Rey is kind of like this individual who's kind of always been on her own, and never, you know, obviously wasn't raised by anyone, but she kind of like found her morals and her identity by herself, and she's obviously like kind of struggled with her identity as this whole trilogy has just gone on. But you know, like I said, I know what it's like to find out that, you know, the person, you know, your father or, you know, your lineage kind of comes from somebody that isn't the best person. But then also finding like family in somebody else, and calling herself a Skywalker, I thought was just like, that moment just made me smile. Like as soon as she said that.
I think this movie does so much to elevate Rey's character. Like I walked out and I was like, man, I love Rey. Like she's a really cool character. And I mean, but like just in general though, like when you saw the movie, like what was your kind of opinion on like her being a Palpatine? Like what was your initial reaction?
I kind of saw that coming.
Okay.
So I think the dialogue that happens in that moment was kind of like weak. It kind of felt like it was forced in there. It wasn't like one of those like, oh my God. I think like the Force lightning part was the part that revealed it, which was a cool moment. That whole
such
thing,
a good moment.
God,
dude.
I mean, like, and when she thinks she killed Chewie.
Oh my God.
And Finn just lets out that scream like of just like pain, and she's in pain.
Yeah.
And then she's kind of like coming to realize, like, you know, she has this inside of her, like this sort of power that she can't control because of her lineage or where she comes from. At that point in time, she doesn't know she's a Palpatine, but it's such a confusing moment for her, and she lost control. And I mean, like that was really awesome. I think like Kylo Ren telling her was just kind of like whatever. I think the better reveal was the Force lightning, because it kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, just like Rey in general, this whole thing, like this whole movie where she's kind of like experimenting with her powers and kind of, you know, obviously she's training, but you find out new things about her, like how she can heal.
And
which
was actually like kind of set up in the Mandalorian like the week before.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's kind of like it's kind of a new ability. Fairly new, because I mean, like if Jedi had that ability and everybody had it, Qui-Gon would still be alive.
I saw a thing where it was a thing from episode 2, and it was Anakin holding like his mom, and he was and he was like, or she was like, Force heal me, Anakin. He's like, okay, LOL, and just it was just the end of the movie, and I was like, wow, yeah, like I think it was just kind of like I don't think it's kind of like a preset ability that like everybody can do. Like I think it's just
something that comes from like her connection with Kylo.
Yeah. Speaking of Kylo, oh my God, dude, Ben freaking Solo, my boy. Yeah. This is I think I've come to like terms that like my favorite character on screen live action. Is Ben Solo. Adam Driver as Kylo Ren and Ben Solo. God, he is so good in this movie.
See, I didn't love, like, I like Kylo Ren, but when he goes like full Ben Solo mode, I was like, this dude's awesome. I was like, this guy is awesome. I was like, I wish I could see more of that.
That's my only complaint, is we didn't get to see more, and I know why we can't see more. Is like obviously like if he lived like then what, he would have just been put in prison and stuff like that. Like he
Right.
couldn't have. But like, I want to see more of like just Ben Solo as a character before like he turned, because it's like immediately like he feels like you can just feel him being so much more free about himself,
Yeah.
you know. And like, so that part where like he jumps on the chain and he just goes, "Ow!" Like it's just, it's so. I'm like, dude, that is
Dad is
that is Han Solo's son right there,
Yeah.
you know. And then, dude, when he goes around the corner and he does the no look blaster shot,
Yep.
I was like, yes, let's go. And then finally, when he gets the lightsaber and he kind of does the shrug like his dad, I was like, dude, this is Princess Leia and Han Solo's kid.
Yeah.
And I am here for it.
It's the
like
first
this,
time you felt that, because
Yes.
he was somebody so different through the first two
man.
films.
Yeah, like he was forcing himself to be someone he wasn't when
Yeah.
he was Kylo Ren. Like
Yeah.
like you can almost just feel like he's putting a facade, like he's trying to kind of be someone he's not.
Yeah.
And like he's finally just accepting like who he is. He's like, I'm the son of Leia Skywalker, Leia Organa, and Han Solo.
That moment with him and his dad, though, I mean, how surprising,
Powerful.
and how like emotional that moment was,
Yes.
where he
God.
basically got to do it over again. Obviously not physically, but that he kind of relived that moment where he had that opportunity to just throw the lightsaber and
Dude,
and
that
become
is
who
my
he was.
favorite moment in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Hands down is when he like when he's going through like the kind of the you know the redoing of the Force Awakens moment where and he says like I have like it's like I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And he says you do, and then he just throws the lightsaber and he goes, Dad, and he's about to say I love you or I'm sorry. I tend to think he's about to say like I'm sorry, but his dad just goes, I know. Like oh my, just shout out
Chills.
to Harrison Ford. Like I literally have goosebumps
Me
right
too.
now. Like I'm not even kidding. like like that is how powerful that moment is, and I am so happy they got Harrison Ford back.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think he was going to come back at all, and I think it's also like so cool that Leia's last moment is that she knew what she had to do to bring her son back,
Yeah.
and so she uses the Force to kind of bring back that memory,
Right.
to kind of let him see his father again, like which really ties into that moment in the Force Awakens, just like Luke is a Jedi, you're his father.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like it kind of comes full circle. Like JJ knew what he wanted to do with that character.
Yeah.
And then when he throws that lightsaber and he's just like, Ben Solo is back, you know. Also, what great visual storytelling when that she heals him, his scar goes away.
Yes.
I love that moment. And Adam Driver, he's like I've been telling people, like, when it comes to my top 3 favorite actors, it's like number 1, Andrew Garfield, and then tied with him is Adam Driver.
That's
like
awesome.
they are so good. Number 2, Ryan Gosling. But yeah, get him in a Star Wars movie, please. But yeah, Adam Driver. And if you guys haven't watched the movie Marriage Story, by the way, like, go watch that, because Adam Driver is literally one of the best actors of our time, and I will die on that hill.
He definitely is. What do you?
He's-
What do you think about the Raylo stuff?
So when it happened in the theater, I was kind of like I kind of like hid like behind my hands. I was like, I was
Yeah.
like, because I kind of felt like there was some tension in the room.
Yeah.
And I was like, but honestly, I'm fine with it. Like, I think they deserved the kind of a happy moment, especially right before he dies, you know?
Yeah.
And like they already had such a like. You know, when The Force Awakens came out, there were people that were like, "Oh, Raylo," and I was like, "That is so stupid." I was
Same.
like, but then The Last Jedi comes out and they establish this connection, and I'm like, okay, I can actually see this now. Like they do have a bond.
They described, or Kylo described it as like what did he say, like a dyad in the Force or something like that.
Yes.
And he said like Palpatine didn't know about it, like, which it shows that like they just have a strange connection where they're linked.
Yes.
Somehow.
And it's really beautiful. Like the way it just like it's almost like the Force itself implanted that link
Yeah.
for them to be able to defeat Palpatine.
Yeah.
And I just love that moment. And I think, by the way, the moments when they're fighting and it's like the stuff is like transferring like through the Force, like almost kind of like interdimensional like stuff. I know like it confused a lot of people and people thought it was kind of dumb. I loved it.
Dude,
I thought
when
it was
she
so
freaking
cool.
Gets him the lightsaber again.
Yes.
Oh my god, dude.
Okay, I'm a full confession. I didn't know until like a week ago that that's what happened in that scene. I'll tell you what I thought happened. So what I thought happened is that she uses the Force to like fly it back to him. I didn't know she was passing it like with his hand.
Yeah.
To like, or like with the Force to like, so that, and so when my friend, he tells me, who's not even a big Star Wars fan, like he told me that, I was like, oh my god, I'm so stupid.
It's cool though, because like people want to see new things from Star Wars, and I think that that's like one of those abilities that aren't necessary. It's not one of those that are like, oh my god, like now you're just kind of pushing it. It's like, oh, that's a cool new ability, and they explain why they have this ability.
Yeah.
Where like, you know, Luke's, you know, projecting himself into Crate, like onto Crate, is like one of those things that are just like, that's it's a new ability, but it's also like really weird. Just to me, or like the whole like Force lightning from Yoda, which by the way, Luke Skywalker lifts the X-wing out of the water and he's still a Force ghost, and I'm just like, where's, like, they need to kind of at some point and talk about like where the limit is with that.
Dude, at this point, I've accepted Star Wars, like, it definitely has no limits. Like, it's just forget everything you know. Because, like, in the original, like, expanded universe and stuff, like, Jedi were so stupid powerful that, like, they were literal gods that I'm like, I just don't even, like, I don't even care anymore. Like, like, Force heal is like, yeah, it's whatever. Like, there's got to be some limit to it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's people writing these stories. Like, there's not, like, a limit to, like, you can't, like, it's not like a real world. Like, you can't. They don't have like Star Wars scientists where it's like they're just determining everything.
It opens up the question, like, what's stopping a Force ghost to joining the fight, you know, and lightning striking some stormtroopers or something like that. That's the only thing.
Nothing will ever be as ridiculous to me though as like in The Force Unleashed, there was the moment in like, and that's why like I tend to not care about it. I'm like, that's a minor thing for a Force ghost.
Yeah.
But in The Force Unleashed Ultimate Sith Edition, there was a level where you play as Lord Starkiller. He's like full on Sith now. He's killed Darth Vader and everything. Mm-hmm. And you go to Tatooine through the events of Episode 4. So you go to like Jabba's palace, you kill like these Jawas and all this stuff, and you try to figure out where Luke Skywalker's at. Well, you get to Mos Eisley and you fight Ben Kenobi like at the Millennium Falcon. Mm-hmm. And so literally you fight Obi-Wan. You kill him. You throw him into the engines, like the exhaust of the Millennium Falcon. Like I'm not even kidding. Like you freaking throw him and he burns alive. All right.
Dark.
Yeah. No, I mean it's super dark, dude. Then his Force Ghost comes back with a lightsaber, and you have to fight his Force Ghost.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's
a little ridiculous.
And then you fight his Force Ghost, and you force push him like until he just like you kill his ghost too. And to me, like as a kid, I was like, yeah, that's fine. And now like I think about it, and I'm like, I think about it now, and I'm like, I think about it now, and I'm just like, God, that was so stupid.
Yeah. But also Luke lifting the X-wing, I thought that was cool because that's what I wanted him to do in The Last Jedi.
Dude, that moment, there's so many moments where I get chills, and at that moment, I don't know if I get chills as much as I just start like sobbing.
I got chills for that, but what really affected me even more was when Rey was flying the X-wing and she had the helmet on.
Yes.
It was the same helmet that she had from The Force Awakens, essentially.
Yeah.
I was just this is amazing.
Living out her dreams, man.
Yeah.
My dad was saying my dad was like, it's crazy how much she looks like Luke, like when she's wearing that. And I was like, I didn't really notice that, but like, yeah, she kind of does. Like she does look like Luke, like wearing that helmet, it's really cool. I loved it when they're like, she's flying and it's like, oh, it's like Luke's old X-wing. It's Red 5. Like, what is he? And I was like, that's awesome. Like, I love that. What did you think about the final space battle with like all the ships coming and like the kind of, or like the entire like final sequence, I guess, but like more so just the entire like the final order and all of that space battle and stuff, or I guess like whatever.
That stuff didn't really affect me as much as just like the heart of the movie did.
Yeah.
Like the characters were what made the movie, like lightsaber fighting and space battles, whatever. Like they were cool. But what really made me love the movie was just like the heart of it, the relationships between these people. You know, I loved Ray and Poe's banter back and forth.
They argue like a married couple.
Yeah,
which is really
I
funny.
just like I loved all of that stuff. The trio getting to go on this little adventure together. Loved that. I loved
Babu
C3,
Frick.
dude. C3PO. He had so much more to do in this film. He
I loved
basically
3PO
did
in this
nothing.
movie.
Yeah, he did like nothing the first two films.
Yeah.
This one he had like, oh, dude, the moment where they all turn around and look at 3PO, and then he turns around and looks like, what are they looking
he looks
at?
like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, it's just like I love all that stuff. I love Lando
Dude,
being back. Like
The moment where 3PO, like they all fall into the cave,
Yeah.
and he was like, he like asked for their names. He's just like, you didn't say my name, but I'm okay. Like I'm like, oh my god, like 3PO, you're a joy.
underrated. I don't know if it's underrated, but I love when Finn was like trying to tell Rey something as he's like slipping into the quicksand or whatever.
Yeah,
He's like, Ray, I never told you, but, and it just like goes away, and that becomes like this whole running thing.
yeah. So you've like heard about the what that was confirmed to
He's
be,
like
right?
force sensitive.
Yeah. Which I mean, it lines up with kind of like what the end of the movie was
love
like,
it.
that he kind of has like a feeling and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So
I
like
love
he has
that,
the Force
and
too.
it's like one of those things where like you could see that the Force brought Finn and Rey together for a purpose.
Yeah.
So I definitely liked that at first. Until like the rest of the movie progressed, at first I was like, oh, he's gonna tell her that he like loves her or something.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and then the film progresses, and I'm like, him and this group of stormtroopers probably have some sort of Force sensitivity, like
Yeah.
the rest of them that are on Endor or whatever. I was like, they probably all have that.
I think he has the Force, but I don't know if they have the Force, because like I think Finn was kind of having like a delusion of grandeur or something, where he was like, he made the decision obviously because like I think he's just naturally like a good person.
Yeah.
But I think the other people did because like they were just kind of like one cohesive unit. But like
Sure.
I don't know, maybe a couple of them do, which I wish we would have gotten more from those people, because I'm like, you kind of just like, you meet Janna, cool character by the way. Like I like the way they introduced that, but at the same time I'm like, okay, like we just kind of see all these other guys and like we don't really know who they are. There was a couple characters that in this movie though that I felt like were kind of not wasted, but a little bit neglected, I guess.
Sure.
Specifically Rose. I know there's been a lot of people on Twitter and stuff saying that like she deserves better, and personally I think she did. I wish she would have gotten more, because I actually really like Kelly Marie Tran, and like I think her character was totally like misused in The Last Jedi, and I wish like she had gotten more to do. Now, it's not that she's bad in this movie, but it's like she's just kind of in it and just doesn't really do anything.
So here's what I'll say regarding that. Because I agree with you. I like Kelly Marie Tran a lot.
Yeah.
I think that the problem with her character is that she had more of a role. This has nothing to do with her acting abilities. I think she had too big of a role in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, she should have never been a big player in this trilogy. She should have been more of like a side character, kind of like how Janna is. Like, it's one of those characters that I'm like, she's more interesting, and I could possibly want to see more of her. But at the same time,
kind of like a Lando in the original trilogy, or something like that, where like he was not a huge character or anything.
So what I said, because people kind of went on Twitter and went and looked up how much screen time she has. She has almost 2 minutes of screen time in the film.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then what I did was I was like, okay, well let's look at both sides of the coin here. And I was like, let me find one of the most iconic characters from the original trilogy, Lando, and see how much screen time he has in the final film. And he has about 5 minutes of screen time in the entire film, the last film of that trilogy.
In Return of the Jedi?
Yes. One of the most iconic characters of Star Wars.
That's insane.
Compare that to Rose, who has about 2 minutes, who isn't really an iconic character. She's just brand new. Mm-hmm. So I think people are just taking it a little bit overboard. I'm like, it sucks for the actress, because she kind of got pulled by two different people. Like, she's kind of given the runaround with her character. But I think like she kind of got set up to fail, because they want to establish an arc for a brand new character in the second to last film, where they have all this other stuff that they have to wrap up. And I'm like, I'm just happy that the characters who really deserved an arc, like Finn, Rey, and Poe, got that. And I just think that there wasn't time to try to establish an arc for a brand new character in this trilogy.
Yeah.
And that's just my perspective on it. Like, the time in this film needed to go to these other characters.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's just the way I see it. I think she got the role that she probably needed to have all along. But I mean, like, the whole Lando thing really opened my eyes, because I was like, everybody loves Lando. He's a huge character, iconic, and he had 5 minutes of screen time in his final trilogy. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's just
makes
where
sense.
I'll leave it.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point.
Now Kelly's great, and she'll probably at some point in time get something else in Star Wars.
Oh, I'm guaranteed.
So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see with that. But,
yeah. I think they focused on the characters that they needed to, and I think just the character moments in this entire movie are so beautiful and so just wholesome, I guess. One character that I really I want to talk about, just because it has made me love her so much, is actually, this isn't the character that I was going to talk about, but it does lead into a moment that I want to talk about. But Leia in this movie, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Leia, the way they handled, at least in my opinion, the way they handled Leia in this movie, I think was as perfect as they could have done it.
Absolutely.
With what they had of Carrie Fisher. I feel like when you watch the movie, you can tell that they didn't have a whole lot, because there's moments where she's just not saying a whole lot or anything. And it's kind of out of character, but it's also well, they just don't have that footage, and they don't, and so it makes sense. But I mean, like you said, her being Rey's kind of master, I think is so cool, and I just love the entirety. Probably my second favorite moment in this movie is when they show the flashback of her and Luke training. It's so first of all, I think it makes me so happy to know that Leia was trained as a Jedi, but she decided not to be.
Right.
For the fact that for the better of the galaxy, she decided to be a general or a senator, to help with the politics, because that's what she's always been. She's a fighter, but at her heart, she's a politician, and she cares about that stuff.
She's just a leader.
Yeah, exactly. She is a leader. And so, but I think it's so cool to see some Leia who is kind of shaped what I love about female heroines and just characters, and seeing her holding a lightsaber in live action. By the way, they did a pretty good job with the CGI. I mean, you can, I was like, okay. And I think it's the way the lighting is and stuff, it definitely helps.
It helps.
But man, seeing her just kick the crap out of Luke, I'm like, you almost know, from that scene alone, you remember, they set it up in the original trilogy, there is another, Yoda and Obi-Wan wanted to train Leia for that exact reason, because she is she's a fighter. I mean, you see it in A New Hope. She takes that blaster and she takes charge.
Yep.
And had she been a Jedi, she probably would have been a much better Jedi than Luke had ever been.
Yep.
But I love that she makes the conscious decision, and then that Rey gets to use her lightsaber. Which is just so great.
The thing about Leia is because she has that mentality of a leader, she always makes the wise decision.
Yes.
Which
a Jedi.
Yeah, and she kind of has that over Luke, where Luke was just he went in his early development as a Jedi. He's very emotional and very whiny about
very much
stuff.
like his dad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's a lot like his dad, where Leia is just very calm. She has a good temperament, and is always looking to make the right decision for everybody. But at the same time, she's a fighter. She won't back down. She takes charge of everything, and it made her the perfect master for Rey.
Yes.
I don't know why I never thought about it before the film, but I was like, wow. I'm when I found out that she was training Rey, I was like, this is perfect. And I was shocked by how well they handled her in this film. But
yeah, it makes sense. It's it kind of felt like in Fallen Order, where Seer, she's not really a Jedi anymore, but she's still kind of the master of Cal, that kind of training him and being his mentor, and it felt a lot like that. But I know I hate to like bring it but you kind of have to talk about it in like the entirety of the trilogy. But I mean, I do like that because first of all, they set that up that like she is really strong in the Force, just like, you know, her entire family is, which makes that moment where she brings Kylo back, or brings like Ben Solo back, really powerful. But also, I think it actually makes the scene of in The Last Jedi when she kind of like pulls herself back to the ship, although I know people say it looks like it still looks a little goofy and weird, and I will admit that, but I still think it makes it a lot cooler to be like, okay, yeah, she trained as a Jedi, that's why she could save herself.
Right.
I've seen people say that like she should have put like a Force like bubble around her or something like that, you know, like use the Force to like push it away or something. That more. I think I'm like that would have been a little weird. I like I mean also in this movie you can see Rey do the same thing. It's a little bit briefer, but when she jumps off of the ship, like the First Order ship, she pulls herself towards the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, there's no way she would have made that jump. She clearly uses the Force to like pull herself towards it. So I think that was just really cool. It's like, and maybe she learned it a little bit from her master, I guess. But so yeah, like that's why I want that Leia lightsaber. If they ever come out with one, I'm getting that one because it's just so cool. I just love I'm a sucker for lightsaber designs, and like I have a Leia t-shirt. Like Leia was a character that like I never really gave a crap about when I was a kid. And like it was not that like because I think when you're a young boy, you want like a character that you resonate to. So like Luke Skywalker was like, he was the Jedi, like I wanted to be like him. But I never realized like how much Leia influenced me, like, and like how I kind of view heroines, and like, that like I never saw it as like this thing as like it had always been engraved in my mind that women could be like heroes too, I guess, and like Leia was always like the definitive version of that. Right. So like just seeing her choke out like this massive slug guy, I'm like, heck yeah. Like I mean that was just normal for me. And so like it's kind of seeing her train Rey and all this stuff, and just seeing like her just kick the crap out of Luke was just such a cool moment. Like I love that so much. It's just such a kind of like, I know this movie is kind of built around fan service, sure, I think, but like I'm a sucker for fan service. Like, I mean, I can tell that like there's probably a little too much fan service in this movie, but like I really don't care. Like I'm still very happy, and it makes me love the movie a lot. Yeah. And just having those those great feel-good Star Wars moments in this movie is what awesome. Speaking of feel-good Star Wars moments, the voices of the Jedi past. Yeah, that, so when that part came along, like I was like, I freaking lost my mind because like I will say I was hoping for Force Ghosts. Sure. I was really hoping to see Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Luke, like all as Force ghosts. But I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, if they don't do Force ghosts, I'll be happy with at least hearing their voices. Right. And that's exactly what happened. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like I will take that. And what made it even better was like it kind of like I took the kind of, I set my expectations right where I wanted them to, and I nailed it, thankfully. But also it was a little bit better because they had freaking Ahsoka, and they had Kanan, and they had like all the Mace Windu, like all these other Jedi's voices, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so awesome. Like hearing Ahsoka and Kanan's voice like in a movie is just like so cool. And because I remember I looked at the credits and I was like, oh, they got Aayla Secura, they got Luminara, they got like everybody, like all of like the main Jedi.
Like the first time hearing it, I was freaking out because I'm like, I don't know who to listen to. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out who's talking. And like obviously like the main one stuck out because like you hear Ewan McGregor and then you hear Yoda, and like those ones are just those voices were like so overpowering because like I could instantly, I'd be like, oh, that's that, and you'd miss a few. I definitely heard Ahsoka the first time.
I didn't. I saw in the credits and I was like, oh my god, what? I was like, I didn't realize it was her. I did hear Kanan the first time through. I was like, or no, maybe I heard Ahsoka, but I didn't hear Kanan. It was one of the two that I was like, oh my god, okay, what? And like going back through the second time, I heard every single one. Like I could hear them all. Yeah. The one though that just literally like I was about to like just cry of happiness was Hayden Christensen. Yeah. Like, God,
he's like bring balance to the Force like I once did or something.
Dude,
like that.
Oh my God, it's so good. Like I've become such like a huge like Hayden Christensen stan lately.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is, but lately like I just freaking love him. And it's like I think mainly what it is I saw this tweet. I think I actually saw it on Instagram, but it was like how he was criticized and like mistreated so much in the Star Wars thing, and yet he said he would always come back in a heartbeat. And like just seeing like how much he embraces like, you know, still being Anakin Skywalker just gives me the like
I think
just makes
the
me
Star
so happy
Wars
for him.
fandom too has kind of moved past that.
Yes.
Because like there's not like this overwhelming hate for the prequels now, and now everybody's like just appreciates them. I think going to Star Wars Celebration probably changed his perspective a little bit, because
Oh yeah. You have the purest of the pure fans
screaming when he walked out onto that stage. Like everyone was freaking out.
Yeah, man.
And
he went to
even
the
has
one
a
that
little
we
bit of
went to,
fun with
right?
it. Huh?
Was that the one that we went to, right? The 40th anniversary?
He was
okay.
at that one, and he also went on to the celebration stage like a
Yeah.
little bit later. And
Yeah.
he was like
Oh,
poking
man.
fun at some things. He did the sand quote, and like
Oh, my
everybody was
God.
like cheering for him because he said, because like somebody asked him, they're like, "How do you feel about sand?" He's like, "Well, you know, it's rough," and like he's just like,
Of course.
goes on. Yeah,
That's so
it's like
great.
he gets everywhere. I was like, this is so perfect.
Yeah,
But,
I'm
yeah.
so happy that they like acknowledged that and like put him in the film like in some capacity. Like I'm just a sucker when they put prequel stuff in the
Yeah.
sequels. I'm like, and I know it's hard to do because it's so far into the future.
Yeah.
But like there was so that moment, there's a part apparently in the movie where like you can see it in one of the trailers, but there's a B1 battle droid behind 3PO and like in Babu Frick's like thing. By the way, I love Babu Frick.
Yep.
And then apparently like when all the spaceships, you can see a ton of prequel ships like Clone Wars era ships and stuff, but you can see like the N1 like Naboo starfighters and stuff out there, and I'm like, that's so cool. And then what was the last thing? There's a one part, okay, which is a really cool moment, mainly just because like the music elevates it that much, and I've been listening to so much like John Williams like music lately.
Yeah.
But there's a moment, and it's music directly from Attack of the Clones. It's not like he redid it or anything. Like they literally just took it from Attack of the Clones.
That's cool.
And it's when the clip is in the Attack of the Clones soundtrack. It's like Return to Tatooine. And I remember it because it was the death screen in the Revenge of the Sith video game. Me and my friend were reminiscing about that.
Yeah.
But when it's Poe and Zori are on the rooftop, and they're like, she gives him the coin or whatever, and like kind of opens up her visor. It's playing like this prequel music, and like I whispered over to my dad, and like I know he didn't really care that much. Like he was just like, okay, whatever. Like, but like I really get into the music of it all, and just like these these really cool moments. And that was one that I was like, oh my God, they're playing prequel music. This is great. My only complaint with music is like, I wish there had been a moment where Duel of the Fates had played.
Yep.
Like that was because it was in one of the trailers, and that was the only thing that I'm like, I wish Duel of the Fates had been played. But you know what? That's okay. But, so yeah.
I think the last thing we really need to talk about is just like Palpatine.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just go ahead and
so yeah,
say
I
what
mean,
you're gonna say.
I think a lot of people are really confused as to like how he's back.
He's Palpatine.
One thing I will say though is like I definitely did not like how they revealed that he was back with Poe.
Oh
when
yeah.
he's like, it confirms our worst like
fear.
Yeah.
Palpatine is back.
Somehow Palpatine returned. I was like, okay. I was like, that was really cheesy.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh man, that sucks. Like,
yeah.
just standing around.
Oh
Yeah.
no, not Palpatine. No.
Yeah. So I didn't really care for that, but I think like Ian McDiarmid's performance was like great as usual. He will always have that character in him. And I think
dude,
he
he
pretty
nails
much
it.
like explains that like he already died and he's just essentially returned from the dead. But
Yeah.
he's not who he was at all. Like,
I don't think so. I mean, you look at him and I'm like, dude, this guy is decrepit.
Yeah.
And like he's literally like a living corpse.
exactly.
And I'm thinking of like the way the Force works, and like you remember in Fallen Order and in the Clone Wars, like you see the Night Sisters kind of revive those corpses, and I'm like, I almost feel like it's kind of like that, like some kind of dark side twisted version of that, where like,
I mean, some dark side magic or
he literally says in the movie, he quotes kind of the Plagueis thing. He's like, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, that I mean. Yeah.
See, and that's also, what makes it cool to me. Is like they bring it back like full circle because they set this up in the prequel. They didn't think they were setting this up in the prequels, but you know that seed was planted and they took advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say with like the whole Palpatine thing, I love that they introduce it like immediately. They put it in the opening crawl. By the way, this probably the Rise of Skywalker. I go back and forth on that, and Revenge of the Sith is really good, but I'm pretty sure this is my favorite opening to any Star Wars movie. Like the way it goes from space, then pans down, and then it goes to Mustafar, which that is confirmed to be Mustafar, by the way. It's actually like ties into the VR game, which is really cool.
Shoot, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's why I saw it and I was like, is that Mustafar? Like what? Then I saw there was trees and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But there's this whole thing.
I was waiting for them to put the giant white letters of what planet it was. When they were, like, showing it, and I was like, okay. I'm like,
yeah, well, remember that was the thing from like Rogue One, but I would have been really weird if they like had not, or if they had put like the letters on like that one. So I'm glad they didn't do that. But yeah, then that. Like, he goes down, and the way he is just, like, the choreography of the way he's just, like, murking these guys, like, is so cool. I'm like, Kylo Ren is, like, I freaking love him, dude. Like, I don't know why. I sound like such a fangirl.
Everything from that opening is just, like, kind of perfect.
The music is like the way it kind of plays that like somber version of the Kylo Ren theme.
Slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, too. And it's very like just like he has a mission and like he's angry and he's pissed and he has an objective. And then he gets that, and then he just like the way he flies through like the clusters and everything, like using that like the kind of the map. And then, dude, Exegol. We haven't even talked about Exegol. One of the coolest planets in Star Wars. Such a cool design. Like, I'm a sucker for cool
Sith world.
Yes, dude.
So
like,
cool.
The visuals is so beautiful. Like the shot of him, so like he lands and then he like ignites his lightsaber. By the way, great shot. Then you get this gigantic platform with these like massive like idols.
It's stuff that we kind of really have wanted to see in live action.
Yeah,
that dude, you like hear about in other canon stuff. Like you know,
it feels like a comic.
Comics, yeah.
Yeah, and like just seeing him like this tiny figure amidst like this just like also the way the lightning is like coming from the ground is like really cool. Like it's like almost like it's literally like a living planet full of dark side energy. And then he walks in and like the way he hears the voices and he's like the moment where he says just like he's like, I have been every voice you have ever heard. Like, and you hear Snoke, and then you hear Vader, and then you hear Palpatine. I was like, that's so cool. Like, I know some people think it's like it's kind of cheap to like retcon, like, oh, Snoke was like some clone or whatever, and I'm like, I really don't care.
Yeah, me either.
Like, they didn't build Snoke up that much, and I personally liked the moment when Snoke dies to kind of make him like, oh yeah, he's really not that important as we thought he was. And so kind of setting up that like Palpatine was using him the entire time. I know that wasn't the plan, but I mean JJ made it work. Yeah. But like he's just like probably my favorite line of his in the movie is like, at least when he's as Kylo, is he's like I killed Snoke, I'll kill you too. Yeah. Or I'll kill you, and I'm like that's Kylo Ren. I'm like, I'm glad he's not like immediately like submitting to a master. Like he's kind of taking his own charge, kind of like his mom a little bit. Like he's just like, I'm not screwing around now. Like I'm just gonna, you know, I'll kill you if I have to.
Even after that, I mean, he kind of like just pretends to go along with it, but he still wants to kill him and just take his empire from him.
Yeah, like he's like, Rey, come on, like let's just go ice this guy and we can just take over the galaxy. Yeah. It's really good. And also just like the entire visuals of like that kind of underground like layer is very menacing. And also the way the lighting is, and just back to the Palpatine thing, like how creepy he looks is just so good. Like I love
the
like
lightning is flashing.
Yes. I'm like, this is like the Nun from like the Conjuring movies
Yeah.
or whatever. Like it's that scary.
Disturbing. Yeah.
Like I know, like if I was a kid, I would have been mortified by
Yep.
like this Palpatine. I was like, oh my god, like he is literally like a demon. Like the dark side is like has taken over him so much that like he's not even a human anymore.
Right.
So yeah, great opening. I just like that was one thing that I wanted to talk about. But I mean, yeah, I think God, this has been a long episode, man. But it's okay. We had a lot to catch up on. Watch this in breaks if you have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it that we have to talk about.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, like talking about this movie gets me excited.
Yeah.
And now I want to go watch it again.
I really do too. I'm like, because I haven't talked about it in a while, and I'm now like, man.
I'm just
I
like
really
thinking
love that
about
movie.
things that we didn't talk about, like when Ray, Finn, and Poe are just like on Pisana. Like I'm thinking about all those things, and I'm like, man, I really want to experience that again.
Yeah, it's really like just one of those movies that I'm probably gonna watch just a lot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's one of the Star Wars movies that I will like. Whenever I get bored, I could put it on, and that's
It's
what
a
I
fun
think.
movie. It's kind of like The Force Awakens, where it's just this like nonstop adventure.
Dude, you're gonna watch it like 12 times in 1 week. I guarantee
Dude,
you.
wait until I get it on Blu-ray.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like but The Force Awakens, I remember you told me you watched it like once, like every day or something,
It's
and I'm like,
probably for like a month. I was just like obsessed with that movie when it came out on
Dude.
Blu-ray. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I love the movie. You love the movie. We love the Mandalorian. Like Star Wars it's really good for like not for everybody, but
it's
this
nice
is
that
the
like I'm
happiest
just
I've been in a
still
while.
yeah. I mean, this is like first of all, I'm just happy that like even though there has been a little bit like I think Star Wars is always gonna have some divisiveness in it. I mean, I look back on the history of Star Wars and I'm like, man, there really always has been just like a lot of divisiveness in Star Wars, but The Last Jedi was just really big on it. But I'm glad that like this one wasn't so like majority of fans like this. There are those like the people that are very hateful, like really dislike this and just want to trash it and be out there on the internet and like just that like people like that always are going to exist, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. But I'm glad I'm glad I really enjoyed it, that we both did, and
You were worried.
I was
worried I
so
didn't
worried.
like it.
So I walked out of the movie and like I said earlier, like I was like, oh my God, what if I'm the only person who liked this movie?
Yeah.
Like my dad liked it, and I remember like I texted you and I texted my other friend, and I was like, I'll say this, I loved it. And I'm like, I really hope you do too, because I'm like really afraid. And you told me like I remember that was the day like you went to see it, but I didn't get a text from you all day, and I think that was when you had like ended up like had to go to the hospital or whatever.
It was.
But I remember I saw your reaction on Twitter. I was like, oh God, thank God he liked it. And I remember I told like the best way I put it is like I told my friends who hadn't seen it yet. I was like, I'll say this. My dad didn't stand up and go, "What the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen," and walk out.
You told me that.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's probably the best like analogy I could give it.
I was like, okay, I feel good.
But yeah, now it kind of sucks that there's like we're past Fallen Order, we're past Mandalorian, we're past Rise of Skywalker, but I mean,
Clone Wars.
I was about to say in a month and a half, Clone Wars coming back,
Yeah.
and we'll have Clone Wars for like literally 3 months, so, which is going to be pretty
and
exciting.
then we got the good news that the Mandalorian season 2 is going to come out this year. So
in fall,
Yeah.
I don't know how soon. I'm hoping a little bit earlier this time around. Like I'm hoping like maybe like October would be nice, but I mean it could be November again. So I guess we'll see.
I mean, I'll be happy. I think it's definitely going to be after Celebration, I'm assuming.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. God, Celebration this year.
Yeah, everybody support the podcast so that way me and Grayson can get some media badges. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. Yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we can conclude the episode now.
Okie doke. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, obviously all of our social media, comicblast_, going to be trying to put a lot more on there so we can be more engaging with you guys. Our Patreon is Comic Blast Official, like we said, and if you could leave ratings on whatever platform you are listening on, we would greatly appreciate it. Anything you have to say, Keenan?
May the Force be with you.